In the dance of life, a woman's spirit gleams, a symphony of strength woven through her dreams. She rises with the sun, a beacon of grace. In her heart, a universe, a sacred space. With courage as her armor and wisdom in her eyes, she paints the world with colors beneath boundless skies. Her laughter, a melody echoing with delight, a symphony of resilience through the darkest night. A tapestry of stories etched in every line, each scar a testament of a journey so divine. In her there's a rhythm, a heartbeat pure, a sanctuary of love forever to endure. For she is more than words, more than what eyes see, a masterpiece of strength, a woman wild and free. Welcome to the sisterhood. Welcome to the sisterhood. We're building a strong community of fierce women who are here to lift each other up and encourage each other and so much more. Welcome to She Soars. How's everybody doing? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Get up, wake up. Thank you for joining me on this blessed day. We're going to get right into what we've been talking about. Those of you who joined us or missed the last session, you can catch the last session. You can go onto our YouTube channel. It's She Soars, and you can catch our first part one of this series that we are doing. All right. So I thank you for joining us. We are talking about three key elements to writing your vision. And the first thing we talked about last Monday was planning. All right. We talked about planning. So I hope you can get a chance and opportunity to re-listen to what we talked about last week. But there was one thing I want to go over with you guys from last week so you'll know what how we're going and doing. Okay, I see you. Wake up, grab your coffee. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Take your time as you're traveling and so forth. So I gave you some homework last week and some things to do, and I hope you guys can do it because I mentioned before we went off for you to pick up some post-it notes, some post-it sticky notes, and I was going to tell you on this episode what to do with those post-it sticky notes. Okay, so we're talking about vision, we're talking about writing your vision, we're talking about focusing, making it plain. So with those post-it notes, for example, we're going to do a brain dump with the post-it notes. And brain dump basically means, for those who don't know, that you're going to write down the very first thing that comes to your mind on a specific topic or thing that you're planning on doing for the year 2024 or for the rest of your life or whatever. Okay, whatever your goal is and whatever you're thinking about doing. Okay, so what I want you to do, as an example, I'm going to throw out this example, so I hope you guys can understand, and then we're going to jump right on into our broadcast. Okay, so I want you to go get you some post-it notes, some post-it sticky notes. And I wanted you to, as an example, we're going to say we're talking about our spiritual life, saying we want to grow spiritually, our vision for our spiritual life for the new year, where you're trying to go. And here I'm going to throw out four questions. Okay, I hope you can write them. Okay, the first one is, what does your spiritual life look like? All right, write that down. What does your spiritual life look like? Now if you need to pull over, pull over. You need to take you some notes, whatever you do. When we come on, grab your journals, your notebooks, pen and paper, because you never know. I'm going to be throwing out some tidbits. I'm going to be throwing out things for you to write down, things for you to remember. We're going to have activities and homework, so make sure you have those things with you. Okay, so the first one is, what does your spiritual life look like? All right. The second one is, where do you want to be in your spiritual life? And these are examples. So yours may not be spiritual life. It could be where I want to be financially. It could be where I want to be in my career. Okay. But this is just an example of what I want you to write down. So you're going to remove spiritual life and put whatever you want to put in there. Okay. Next one, number 3 will be, what do I need to change in my spiritual walk? All right. So, and the fourth one is, what steps do I need to take to get my spiritual life to where I want it to be. And the reason why I use this spiritual life is because in my vision board book, when I do my vision board parties and events, I have a book. It's called Developing Your Vision. And in that, we talk about our spiritual life. Your spiritual life is the first thing. No matter what are you doing in life, naturally, spiritually, your spiritual life has to be on point. You have to be connected with God because you can't do none of this without Him. And so, if you're lacking in your spiritual life, it's time for you to begin to plan your spiritual life. Get yourself back on track. If 2023 you got off track, 2023 you got off focus, 2023 wasn't able to do some of the things that you wanted to do spiritually, you got to be determined this year, 2024, nothing is going to hold you back. Nothing's going to stop you from doing what you need to do to get your life back on track. So in my workbook, we talk about your spiritual life. It's the very first thing that we discuss. So that's why I put that in there as an example, okay? So the question number one, I'm going to go over them again and we're going to jump right into our lesson, okay? So question number one was, what does your spiritual life look like? Are you where you want to be spiritually? Are you where you should be spiritually? What does it look like? Okay. And I want you to write on those post-it notes what first thing that comes to your mind. It may be my spiritual life sucks. It may be, you know what, I really need to read my word. I really need to get baptized. I need to get to church. Whatever it is, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? You write it on that post-it note. Okay. The second question was, where do you want to be in your spiritual life? Okay. The third question was, what do I need to change in my spiritual walk? And the fourth one is, what steps do I need to take to get my spiritual life to where I want it to be? Okay. So if you miss those questions, if you're driving and you can't write them down, send me an email at PamelaJordan11@gmail.com and just say it's in reference to the homework, and I will email you back those questions and you'll be able to catch up and do what you need to do. Okay. You agree with me with that? So it's PamelaJordan11@gmail.com. Okay. Send me your information and I'll get that back to you so you can get those questions if you missed out. Okay. And that's come from our first lesson called planning. We were talking about planning. Now we're going to jump into part 2 of 3 key elements to writing your vision. And what we're going to talk about today is a very it's one of the hardest things that a lot of us have in life that a lot of us don't have. It's a very hard thing to do. Sometimes we be like, Lord, you really want me to do this? You're asking me a hard thing to do, you know. Number 2 is patience. Patience. How many of you do not have patience? How many of you sometimes scared to ask God for patience? Patience is one of the hardest things that we have. In this day and time, nobody has patience. We're in a world of microwave, quick, fast, in a hurry. I gotta have it when I want to have it on my time. And there is no patience. I remember growing up when we were told never to ask God for patience. And I'm one of those kids when sometimes when you tell me not to do certain things, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it because you said not to do it because I want to see why you say not to do it. So when you were told don't ask for patience, I did the opposite. I asked for patience. Okay. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. We have been told that not to do that, and we've told not to do that, and it's such a negative way in the church. And to be honest, it's not a negative thing. It's something that you need. It is one of the fruit of the Spirit, okay? It's one of the fruit of the Spirit. That's in Galatians 5th chapter, verses 22-23. If it wasn't something that we need, God wouldn't have put it in the word, okay? And what I found out is that we would love, we read those scriptures and we want love, we want joy, we want peace, we want meekness, we want gentleness, kindness, but we do not want patience. People would quickly to say, I do not have patience. That is why you need to pray and ask God for patience, because in this walk of serving God and doing the things that He is requiring us to do, you have to have patience. There's a lot of you y'all can go from 20 to 100 in less than seconds. If somebody does something that you don't like or out of order, you have no patience, because God had patience with you. God waited for you. He could have went off and did what He wanted to do, but He didn't. And so having patience is so important. Okay, so I don't want you to leave here and you're listening and be like, oh my God, I gotta get paid. Yeah, you're gonna, many of you probably got all the other fruits of the spirit, but patience. And that's the one that God has been working on you with. And you won't allow God to work, and you're wondering why things are not happening, going the way in your life, because that may be that one thing that you need that you do not want to have. And God is saying, well, you can't move forward because you need patience. You got to be able to have patience when people get on your last living nerves. And God had patience. Come on now. If you think about all the stuff that he had to do and people that he had to deal with, he had to have a lot of patience. So that is what we're talking about today. It's patience. You know, we can't pick and choose which of those fruit of the spirit that we want. We can't pick and choose because God wants us to have and live and walk in all of them as possible as we can. We're not here to perfect it and dot every I. And I that's something I don't like. You know, people try to make you feel like you have to be perfect. We got to have all those fruits. No, God did not say you had to be perfect at that moment. And people are out here killing themselves trying to get all these fruits. It takes one day at a time, one fruit at a time. Okay, but I wanted to talk about patience because that is part of writing your vision, because sometimes the vision may not come to pass when you want it to come to pass, and God is saying you need patience to wait on him. Now I want to jump into our word, and we're going to talk about one story in the Bible, and if time permits I may jump to a second story in the Bible that has to do with patience, but this is the one that the Lord dropped in my spirit, and it is John 11 chapter verses 1 through 6. And I'm just going to read a few verses, but the whole chapter I want you to read on your own time. Okay, it's John the 11th chapter verses 1 through 6. Okay, so it reads, now a certain man was sick named Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. It was that Mary which anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore his sister sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister Lazarus. When he had heard, therefore, that he was sick, he abide 2 days till in the same place where he was. Now, you may be saying, how does this tie into patience? It was the waiting on God that they had to have. Their brother was dying. He was sick, and they needed Jesus to come ASAP. They wanted him to be there when they wanted him to be there. But they had to realize timing is everything, and patience is everything. And the timing of God at that moment was not the time that God wanted to be there. And so he did not show up when they wanted him to show up, because they needed to learn patience, because God don't move when we move. Okay, he doesn't move when we want him to move, because sometimes we're not ready. And in that story, and as you read on and understand what was going on at the time, they wasn't ready to receive what was about to happen. Even the disciples wasn't ready to receive what was about to happen. They sat there and was like, Lord, if he's sleep, Lord, he gonna be all right. Wake up. And God is saying, I'm not talking about the physical natural sleep, I'm talking about the spiritual sleep. But I'm gonna go. But see, I need for y'all to understand what is about to happen. Even the disciples didn't understand what miracle was about to happen when he showed up on the scene. Now, they talked about Lazarus was dead. They had already buried Lazarus. They had put Lazarus in the tomb. Lazarus was already covered up. And see, that's all about timing. And see, God is saying, I needed y'all to be patient with me. I'm not going to move when y'all move. And they kept questioning him. They couldn't understand why he wasn't going to wait on his friend, because it was patience. Waiting on God. That's number one. Waiting on God takes patience. Waiting on God takes patience. When God has halted your dream, your request, and your vision, it ain't saying that it's not going to come to pass, but God said, you know what? You got to wait. You got to have some patience because it may not be the time and the season for what you're asking for, because I need to prepare you for what I'm about to do. And he needed to prepare their hearts and their minds and their spirit for what he was about to do, because if he didn't, they would have thought Jesus was crazy, and all kind of crazy stuff would have been going on at the time. And so it's the same with us today, that waiting on God takes patience. It takes patience. Patience is a virtue, it's trust, it's endurance, it is faith. That is what patience is all about. When you got patience, leads to trusting in God. All right. And it's so important that we understand that. It's about patience because we want God to move in our time, but it's not about our time, but God's time. Timing is everything, y'all. I'm telling y'all, it's about the timing. In the word of God, it's about the timing. When God did what he did things when the time was right to do things. So patience, like I said, it's about faith, it's about trust, it's about endurance, it's about virtue. They had lost their faith because she said, and she told Jesus, one of the sisters, if you were there, he would not have died. They lost faith in that Jesus would come. They lost faith even before he went and passed away. They lost faith, and patience equals to faith. It's important. Trust. Patience comes and trust. When you are patient, then you trust God because you know he will do what he said he is going to do. So we got faith equals to patience. Trust equals to patience. All this ties into patience because you got to trust God to have patience. You got to have patience even to trust God. Okay? Because you got to trust that he is going to move and he's going to do that which he said he's going to do. I got to trust that God is going to heal me. I got to trust that God is going to bring deliverance. I got to trust that God is going to. So in my time of trusting, I'm having patience. In my time of patience, I'm having trust. In my time of waiting, I'm trusting God in faith that he is going to do what he said he is going to do. So somebody out there got to say, you got to get some patience. You got to get some patience. I'm coming, but you're going to have to wait just a little more. This may not be your season. This may not be your time. You haven't even planned anything out for me to even move and do. So you got to wait and be patient with God and move, okay? Satan not sometimes, but Satan wants us, and we're in a world where Satan wants us to move quickly. Because everything that Satan does is moving fast, quick, in a hurry. And he'll have you thinking fast, quick, in a hurry is good. You know the old saying about the tortoise and the hare. Slow wins the race. And that is so true. The enemy wants you to move fast. He give you an idea. He wants you to move on. You're moving on quickly. You listen to TikTok. You listen to Instagram. You listen to Facebook. You only listen to all these people telling you to hurry up and get this, hurry up and get that. You're going to miss the sale. If you don't make it, you're going to miss this. And that's the enemy making you run before it's time. And a lot of times we run ahead before we even think about where we're running to. Because we want it quick. And so the enemy will get you in that mode for you to move quickly to get something done when God is standing back here and saying, patience, it's not time. And then you go ahead and do it and you mess it all up. And now you are, oh, Lord, I need you, Lord. I don't know what to do, Lord. Because you messed it up because God told you to wait and you didn't have patience to wait on God because you felt God was moving slow because the enemy have you thinking that quick, fast, in a hurry is going to get you to the end of the race. But that's not going to get you into the race. It's going to get you there before everybody else. But in between the time of you getting there, you messed up a whole lot of stuff. You missed some important facts that you need for the end result. Come on now. We missed some important facts when we're trying to rush to get to the end. God, you got a word. God prophesied. Somebody gave you a word. The Lord spoke this, said you was going to be this. And man, you didn't went from 0 to 100 and you at the end to 100. And don't know why nothing happened because you didn't learn what was in between that you need to learn. You may be called to do something, but God says you got to have patience and go through the training, go through the process. I gave an example to my son the other day. We were talking. I said, it's like you being in this hallway. You got the one door on the end that you came in, and then there's another doorway at the other end that you haven't went out of. And now you in the middle of this room, in this hallway, and you trying to figure out, do I go back or do I press press on to see what the end is going to be. But within that middle, I got to deal with what the issues and what the pressures are going to come in the middle. And that the walls may start closing in, and that pressure may start coming, but I'm gonna make it to the end. Do I want to go back from where I came from? No, I want to press on to see what God has for me, but I gotta get what He has for me in the middle. That is what we are missing, is getting what God has for you in the middle. He is preparing you for what He has for you at the end, but you got to have patience to go through that which God has for you. Okay, so because moving quickly, we can miss out on what God has for us. Don't move so quickly that you have to, you get to a point where you don't even know where you're going, what's going on, because you're moving so fast. So the disciples thought that, as we said, God was talking about them sleeping, and Jesus needed them to believe and have patience about believing that He is going to do what He said He's going to do. Timing, patience, how are you waiting? It's so important. And what are you doing while you are waiting? Okay, while you are waiting for the manifestation to come, what are you doing? Are you complaining? Are you crying? Are you not moving, doing anything? You're supposed to do one thing. Are you studying? Are you researching? Are you getting materials? Are you buying supplies for your business? Are you going to classes and learning about things? Are you going to school to study? Because once you get all that, see, that's the in-between stuff. That's the patience stuff. You get all that stuff done, then you're ready for what God has for you at the end. As we said, faith, patience is trust, faith, endurance. God doesn't move when, I just keep emphasizing, He does not move when we want us to move. All right. And, I said I wanted to get to another story in Luke, and write this down. Luke, the 5th chapter. All right, and before we end this wonderful broadcast, I may not be able to get to the next chapter, other scripture I want to get to you guys, but it's Luke the 5th chapter, verses 1 through 11, and it talks about the fishermen and talks about how they washed their nets, too soon, because they didn't have patience to wait. Though they were out there all day, all night fishing, and they didn't catch anything, but they didn't underestimate, didn't know that Jesus was coming. He approached them. He came and asked, looking for a boat to get on, and there was no one there. Simon was the only one, I believe, still washing there, washing. Everybody else was on the shore, and he got on Simon's boat, and he had him, pushed him out so he could begin to finish teaching. And when you're in place, and when you're where you need to be, and you're having patience, you never know what blessing is coming upon you. They didn't know who Jesus was at the time, but He was there where He should have been, the right place at the right time, and God was able to bless him because of patience. They didn't have patience. They washed their nets too soon, and then they began to doubt when He told them, you know what, throw your nets over there again. And they're like, man, we've been out here all day, all night. We know we're professional fishermen. We ain't catching nothing. And He said, it comes to what we said, trust. Do you trust me? Man, I don't know you, but I'm going to trust you anyway. So they threw them nets over, and they got so much fish that He had to call everybody, his buddies, to come over and help them. So washing your nets, have you washed your nets too soon because of not being patient? Be patient. Wait on God. All right, He will renew your strength. He will mount you up as wings of eagles. So if you wait on God and be patient and allow God to do what He said He is going to do, you will be surprised of what the manifestation comes. They had so much that their nets broke. Their nets broke where they had to get help. Okay, but the patience and not waiting on the right time for the touring of the water and for what was about to happen. They didn't know, but God was on the scene and He blessed them. So you have to ask yourself, have I washed my nets too soon? Am I not being patient? Am I trying to rush that which God has called and said He has for me? Because I don't want to be patient. In order to write your vision, you got to plan it. You got to be patient for the manifestation. But what are you doing in your waiting time? What are you doing in your waiting season? How are you waiting? Are you waiting in the way that you should be? All right. So as we close out, your activity that I want you to do as we close, I want you to get you a vision, not a vision, but get you a poster board, because we're going to talk about the vision board. But I want you to go out and get your poster board, get you some magazines, get you some markers, and we're going to, next week we're going to talk about preparation, and we're going to begin to prepare for that vision. All right. Some of you may want to go ahead and begin. Some of you may have never even done this before, but I want you to try it in 2024. Is we're going to write your vision. You're going to get it up so you can see. You're going to plan it. You're going to be patient. You're going to be prepared, and you're going to produce it. All right. Producing is a bonus. And we're going to do that. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope I get you back here at the She Shore Show. And I thank you each and every one for joining me. Write your vision. We'll see you next time. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.